Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media.
Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to a fire lookout near Mission Hill in the Marquette National Forest of the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. The climate here is a humid continental climate, with long, cold, snowy winters, which can accumulate 100 inches of snow. The summers are warm and humid with frequent rain and storms. With an abundance of water, the plant life here thrives. Dense forests of paper birch, red maple, and northern white cedar tower over bushes of serviceberry, dogwood, and numerous other berry species. The rolling terrain varies between 600 feet and 1,000 feet in elevation, with marshy bogs in the lower areas, and ridges of thick forests between. White-tailed deer thrive in this habitat, and are hunted by coyotes, bobcats, gray wolves, and black bears, maintaining a balance that goes back eons. On July 7, 1948, 3-year-old Carol Ann Pomranky was playing by herself on the back porch of the cabin her family called home. Her father, Arthur, was a fire lookout attendee, often helping out as a park ranger. He had left earlier in the morning to help out at a nearby ranger station called Raco, while Miss Pomranky took care of the kids and the home. Miss Pomranky had a friend of hers, Mrs. Summers, come over to visit while the kids played. 5-year-old Allan Pomranky played by himself in the basement, while Mrs. Summers and Mrs. Pomranky sipped coffee and chatted as they ironed clothes in the kitchen above. Carol Ann had been entertaining herself for over an hour when Mrs. Pomranky heard her scream out. Running to the screen door, Mrs. Pomranky could see Carol Ann on all fours, with one of her hands placed on the screen door. As Mrs. Pomranky approached the screen door and glanced up, she saw a small-sized black bear about halfway up the porch steps. The bear let out a low, rumbling growl and pursed its lips, revealing its teeth. With Mrs. Pomranky paralyzed by the sudden appearance of the bear, the predator leapt forward and bit onto Carol Ann's neck, just below her skull. Dragging her from the porch, the bear repositioned its jaws on the little girl, biting her by the arm to drag her further away. Once the bear dragged the little girl for a short distance, it picked her up in its arms and walked into the forest on its hind legs. Mrs. Summers quickly pulled Mrs. Pomranky inside the cabin and slammed the door to ensure the bear didn't attack either of them. Mrs. Pomranky immediately called up the Raco ranger station, where Arthur was working. After listening to the details of his daughter's attack, Arthur notified other ranger stations to recruit help in finding his daughter and the bear that had just killed her. Over 100 volunteers converged on the Pomranky cabin just after Alex Van Leuven, a professional trapper, arrived with his hunting dogs. Met by Rangers Bruce Elliott and Pomranky, along with the fisherman Wayne Weston, Van Leuven immediately began tracking the bear's scent with his dogs. Weston and Elliott accompanied Van Leuven as Mr. Pomranky comforted his forlorn wife. The hunting party didn't go far before locating one of Carol Ann's shoes. Following the dogs past her shoe, the bear tracks entered a dense patch of the forest. Along a stream, about a quarter-mile from the cabin, Carol Ann's lifeless body was discovered. Knowing that the bear may return to the little girl's corpse, Weston volunteered to stand watch over it as Van Leuven and his dogs continued tracking the bear. Given the dogs barked as they pursued the bear, it had plenty of time to leave before the men arrived at the little girl's corpse. While being pursued by the dogs, the bear ran in a large circle to return to Carol Ann's corpse. As Weston sat watch, the bear emerged from the brush at a distance of only 30 yards. Using his .30-30 hunting rifle, Weston fired a fatal shot that ended the terror the bear had wrought on the Pomranky family. After recovering Carol Ann's remains, an autopsy was completed. The coroner indicated that she instantly died when the bear's canines pierced the base of her skull just as the attack began. The carcass of the bear was also examined. It was found to be a scrawny 1.5-year-old weighing only 150 pounds. Despite abundant berries and clover being available this year, the bear had not been consuming typical foods from the area. The attack on Carol Ann was labeled as a predatory attack. She hadn't taken the bear by surprise, and the bear was not defending cubs. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes. And the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. Michigan's black bear population has experienced significant growth in recent years. As of 2022, the state is home to over 12,000 black bears, with more than 10,000 residing in the Upper Peninsula. Geographically, Michigan encompasses approximately 96,716 square miles, indicating a bear density of 1 bear per 8 square miles, including urban areas and bodies of water. The increase in the black bear population, particularly in the northern Lower Peninsula and in the Upper Peninsula, has led to a rise in human-bear interactions. The Michigan Department of Natural Resources continues to monitor these trends to manage and maintain a healthy balance between wildlife populations and human activities and safety. After reviewing the facts surrounding this sad episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. Why do you think the bear carried Carol Ann away in its arms and walking on its hind legs? Why wasn't the bear eating the clover and berries so abundant in the area? What could have led the bear to the Pomranky's back porch and Carol Ann's location? Did Mrs. Pomranky know Carol Ann was dead before the bear dragged her from the porch? This is the only thing that makes sense to me as to why she didn't follow the bear to get her daughter back. I'll gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.